I am Yemaya, and this is the Cipher, bringing you conscious, controversial conversation. The Cipher, the mathematical concept of zero, the nothing from which all things come. These are my co-hosts, King Wiz, Kevlar, Tanesha, and Naledi. And today we have two special guests, our hosts from the Voyage to the Motherland, Naledi and Nat Nai. Enter the Cipher. So today's topic, family, is should more African nations join the Year of Return? So for members of our audience at home who may not be familiar with the term or the concept of the Year of Return, could somebody please explain to the audience what that whole thing is?
So, thank you, Cipher, for having Stella and I on the panel. It's a pleasure. We love what you're doing. We love the shows that you've been doing and the healthy, progressive conversations you've all been having. So, big up to you first and foremost.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming down and joining us.
Yeah, so the Year of Return. Basically, there was Nana, the president of Ghana, President Nana. He, amongst others. So when you have a president or somebody in a high position, they normally take the idea, so it falls under them. But there was people, a lot of people that were a driving force behind the whole idea of Year of Return. But anyway, he announced the Year of Return. So it was an open invite to African people of people of African descent, African people globally, to come back home through Ghana. And he didn't just put a statement out, he actually actively went to the Caribbean. I'm not sure if he went to the United States.
I think he did. I think he collaborated with a group called the Adinka Group in America to put together the whole thing.
The whole program. And then he went to, did you go to South America?
I'm not too sure. I'm not sure about that one.
But he definitely went to the Caribbean, we know that for sure. So the message was clear. You black people, you're Africans, come back home. That was the message. So then Ghana set up a program. So they set out the statement, and then they set up a program towards the end of the year, 2019. From really, it was like December up until mid-January. This is when Ghanaians generally go home anyway. Like they go home at that time. But this was an open invite for all of us to experience Africa, but through Ghana.
Yes.
So essentially, that was what the Year of Return is, and it got a lot of people going. I think there was at least 500,000 African diaspora that had turned up, and they contributed to the economy. I think it was $1.9 billion that was contributed to the Ghanaian economy.
It was a huge success.
How long did they stay?
For about, I guess from 2 weeks on, so maybe some people spent a month. I think generally speaking, most people spent a month.
Going throughout the year. Yeah. It was a whole year program. So I think the main finale was over December and January, but they had a whole program of events and conferences and premieres of shows and stuff like that happening throughout the entire year of 2019, and finishing in the new year of January 2020.
Yes.
Yeah. And I went out there myself, and I had the time of my life. It was great. Yeah. Okay, so based on the topic of today, which is should more African nations join the Year of Return, based on the fact that Ghana kind of, picked up the javelin stick and went head first into the whole concept, and it's kind of caught on a lot, and I see some other countries are trying to, take up the whole concept. And they're even bringing it on another year. I think it's beyond the Year of Return or something else. So it was such a huge success that they're going to continue it. Do you think it's a good idea to, extend the whole concept out across the continent?
Yeah, most definitely. I'm going to speak at this point because I also went with Nat in 2019, and we witnessed something we never thought we'd see in our lifetime, which was so many diaspora from across the globe in the one Labama Beach, celebrating together. Like some people there just to celebrate, some people there to kind of reconnect with their roots. And it was Powers. So for them to be saying beyond the year of return, and for other nations to kind of pick up the baton and like respond. So there should have been like this domino effect, because there's so much to see in Africa, and it's important for the diaspora to reconnect to their roots. We all need to reconnect to our roots and where we come from and appreciate the beauty. So yeah, I think it was a shame. For example, my heritage is Ijo. I'm the Ijo people in the place they call Nigeria. But I thought, I was kind of embarrassed, like, why can't we, also like the Ghanaians, there's this friendly competition. They're like, we went to something called Pan-Afro-Link, where they had this debate, talking about, the success of it. And in there, they were like cussing off the Nigerians because they were like, I've heard this crazy tweet went out about, they're going to do like the gate of return or whatever, the door of return or something like that. But it was actually not true. It was just this fake thing that people had put out there.
I thought it was true.
No, it wasn't actually true. Which even that was a shame. I'm like, I'd rather they were trying to do something. But in Benin, they always had the gate of return anyway. They've always done that.
Okay.
So so for me, it was a shame. I was like, why can't we? But it shows you who is still in the pockets of the colonial masters still to this day. It shows you in a front-facing way. Yeah. Because for Nana to really take that and own that, yes, there's commercial value, and maybe you can convince some big corporations that, look, this is going to make so much money and blah, and blah, and blah. But still, there's a message that is very strong going out there about the Black empowerment or African empowerment.
Come back and live and come and invest.
That they don't want. So that's why it didn't do the domino effect. It didn't do the natural thing. Which is like, if you've seen all that money and revenue going into the country, surely
it's booming just like that.
I have a question. So, is there like a structure in place, like in Ghana, to accept all of these people for like a long period of time, and not just for a short, like month or something like that?
It's a good question. I mean, they are developing it. They're as Yemaya said, the people going throughout the year.
Right.
They'll go, and then it will crescendo towards December, January. And in fact, it's been happening. So it was before the year of return, actually. Maybe the year of return came about because people were repatriating anyway, and then they saw the value in it. Because when you go to Africa, and you're seeing like abundance. Abundance of everything. Abundance of everything. The thing that is missing, I guess, is infrastructure and material, like that we value here more in the West. But in terms of like potential, you go there, you just see like it's boundless. It's like you decide. That was the question. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Like, what is your dream? What do you want to make manifest? That was the question.
Tigers and everything. Chief in a village,
maybe some lions. So when I went to, you have to go to India.
I want to go
You
to
go to
safari,
safari for that.
be out there with
For that.
the animals and
I feel like that's even a misconception of Africa. Like that's also looking at Africa the way they put it in the movies. Like there's lions and tigers and bears. Well, not bears.
no.
And it's like when I went there, it was like, am I in Soho? Am I in Mayfair? Like, that's how I felt. Like I thought, I go to a restaurant. I feel like I'm in Mayfair.
Exactly.
Like, do you know what I mean? I didn't
Lebanese owned though.
Well, it's another conversation, girl. You know what I mean? I say like going out there, I felt like I was out in London City nightlife. That's how I felt. I felt like at the music festival anywhere.
In a lot of cities.
I feel like that's nice to have. A lot of investment has gone into that side of the life. But we'd have to see development and infrastructure developing in other areas as well, not just like touristy, nice, glamorous things. You know what I mean? But the fact that it's something that has attracted Black people to go to, or diasporans to go to, do you think it's worth, or do you think it's a good idea for us to migrate from living in Babylon, England, or Morocco, or the West, to set up life on the continent? Do you think that's a good idea? Do you think it's something we should do?
100%.
I think if no,
I'm gonna talk freely,
go
man. Talk
ahead,
freely.
go ahead.
Go on, because I've talked a lot.
I was thinking, it would be a wonderful thing, and Kim talks about Honourable Marcus Mosiah Garvey and his dream for all the diasporans to go home. That was a very long time ago when he had that dream, and I don't know if it's manifested the way he would have liked. But however many years on, we're still here and we're talking about moving back. And I think the reality of it is not everybody can, and not everybody can right now. So it's an opportunity to look at repatriation in a different way. I would say every descendant of Africa should go home, visit, see, or stay, whatever. But if it's not possible, there are other ways in terms of repatriation. I feel like this conversation, us spending time together and having a dialogue, is in a way reconnecting. I'm African, you're African. So, that energy is there, and our connection is doing something where the healing, well, it's doing what we allow it to do. And we should focus on our healing. Learning our history is a way of repatriation and retelling the story of Africa. Who is she? What happened to her? How is she now? And what do we need to do for her? Repatriation is beautiful, it's strong, and we should focus on it. But there are different ways of doing it when looking into Africa, because not everybody can, and
So yeah, I 1000% agree with what you were saying, because essentially repatriation. I'm an advocate, so I'm pushing for all our people to go back home. We will never be strong as a people until Africa is strong. That's my perspective. So I'm an advocate for it. If you can go back, go back. If you cannot go back instantly, then do everything you can to go back. It's not a thing of like, just pack up and go, which is what my mindset is. But it can be like, just go and visit. You see, like how the Jews will go to Israel because they believe that's their homeland. They'll go back there as a sort of, like, they may not go there and live, but they'll go back there because they believe that's their ancestral home. Africa is our ancestral home. No matter which way you want to look at it, it is important for our souls to go back to the continent itself. With that mindset now, if you're unable to go, say 5, 10, 15, 20 years, that is fine. We're not to criticize you. The point is that your mind is in Africa, and that contribution to Africa is enough to build up the strength of that continent. If we have collectively a mindset that is about strengthening Africa. So when we build businesses here, when we're building any sort of economic strength here, and we have Africa in mind, there's a synergy between the two, there's a support system there, then we can see that we can build ourselves up. Similar example is China. China spent good 30 odd years or so building China up. So
the diaspora
specifically,
No.
Yeah, the diaspora was like, I think it's 50-50. So 50% of their economic build came from Chinese on the ground, and then 50% came from the diaspora. So the mentality was Chinese wherever they are.
Exactly.
So we have to have the same sort of mentality.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I don't necessarily think that everyone should go back, because I think that we have to understand that, neo-colonialism is still operates in Africa. So if you're going back with this mindset that when you go back you're going to be free, it's just a different mask, but the same things are happening. Your tax money is still coming back to Europe. So yeah, I do think some people should go back, and if you want to go back, I think you should. But more importantly, I think that like what you said, your mindset, what's in your heart, should still be Africa, so that regardless of where you are on this globe, you're still connecting in some way, you're still showing your support and your contribution. That's
such a brilliant point. And in terms of the nations question, I think we should just put nations to a hold. We're conscious, right? So we have an understanding of our history. So we have an understanding of our great historical past, and we also have an understanding that our DNA is made up of that history.
Exactly.
Right? So we do not have to think in limitations. We do not have to be reliant on leaders that were given to us. If we have a rethinking of mind and think of like, okay, Marcus Garvey is an inspiration. If I view Marcus Garvey as a great, but someone that I can be inspired by, then that I should use that inspiration into action.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it's not a thinking of like I'm waiting for Africa, the African nations to decolonize themselves. It's how do we contribute to the
that.
decolonization
Exactly,
of
yeah.
Africa?
You see, with what you're saying, I agree. You see, Marcus Garvey, people like that. Some of them never actually even reached the motherland themselves, you know? And the deepness of it is that before you can return physically and for it to mean anything, you have to return mentally and spiritually. Because, as I say, there's Negropeans. Not to disrespect them or nothing, but to me it's like you could have the mentality of a European person in the black body and you're going to Africa to bring their neo-colonialistic ways. You're going over there to bring certain things that is not going to be beneficial or productive to Africa back home. So if you cannot reconnect within yourself first to what does it even mean to be African? What are African ways? What is African thinking? Afrocentric thinking? And these things, then you're not going to be useful at all.
The thing is, even Africans on the continent have adopted neo-colonial, Eurocentric ways of thinking. You can't escape it. It's like leaving one Babylon to go and congregate in another part of
As I
Babylon.
said, the mask is different.
Exactly. So it's like even if you're bringing an European from wherever to the continent, it's still there anyway.
Yeah.
It's
there.
in the media. Who owns the media? It's in the educational system.
Exactly.
It's in government. It's in
And
politics.
slowly, but over the last 5 years, we've been seeing that being torn down in different parts of the world. You've seen people claiming back their languages and saying, no, we're going to teach this as a first language instead of English or French or whatever it is. So that has been happening, and that's what led to this year of returns. But then, you know, the point you were going to bring about
Obviously, all of a sudden,
the interruption.
the year of return, it's just food for thought, isn't it? Like, the year of return so successful, 1.9 billion. 1.9 billion in the economy. And all of a sudden, the whole world shut down. So as soon as we get a pass to return home, when I saying, come, Africa's welcoming, man. Nah, the rest of the world said, no, they ain't going nowhere. And now what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So now it comes to the point of, what are you really going to do, though? Because look, have you got the infrastructure to fly, man?
Exactly.
Have you got... You see the same celebrities that people are worshipping and these things. It's a tough role, but it's like you have to pick what you're about, innit? And there comes to a point in life where everyone has to define what they stand for. You have to know what you really stand for. And as a man and a woman, as Bro said, there's no leaders. Every man is a leader in his own right. Every woman is a leader in their own right. You lead yourself, you lead your family. So if we all are leading each other, we got role models, good people to base our ideas on, then you have to be willing to sacrifice and stand up for something. Being willing doesn't mean it's going to happen, but you see when you go to war, every soldier's willing to die. Someone will survive and some will die, but everyone has to be willing to do what must be done for that cause.
Yes.
If we're not on that, then it's a facade. The
Yes.
return could be used as just another manipulated commercial thing to make money. It's like, what is this leading to?
Exactly.
And that's not for no government to define. That's not for no one individual to define. That's for us as a people around the world to define. So it's good that we're starting to connect each other. We've got the tools, social networking, all these things, but it's like, it's being corrupted. We have, my dad told me this when I was young. He said, look at the internet like a mansion, 100 rooms. Man, them only use 5 rooms. Facebook, social media, Twitter. My dad said, there's bare websites, you know, there's so many websites with so many things. And it's like, what you're telling me is not a matrix. Why is everyone just on these one things? These Wikipedia is the main source for most people's quotes. What's going on? Why can't we expand our mind past what's just put there? Why can't we make our own platforms and everything? And it can be actually done. We did it before. So people say, oh, don't be your ancestors, this and that. No, return. The idea of return is not new.
No.
Garvey said return. Nkrumah and them said return. There's enough people. The slaves, when you first got taken, your natural instinct was
To go
return.
back,
And
exactly.
it's like they're trying to suppress that instinct within our, also the DNA is saying return. So they have to constantly keep man distracted, stressed out, intoxicated, fast food. There's so many things to
Yeah,
stop
because
that.
I've really noticed that on my YouTube feed, another one of the giants, I just keep getting messages like, oh, why don't you travel to Germany? why don't you come to Turkey? Or blah, blah, blah. And I'm not so curious, like, the place where they haven't had as high numbers in certain things, they are saying, no, you can't, you shouldn't go there. But all these European countries that have had really high numbers, like Spain and all this, come visit us. I'm like, and for me, I know my bubble is very African, so I know you should be showing me Tanzania right now.
The cookies ain't saying that.
Switching up on us.
That's it. They're taking care of themselves. That's it. And why shouldn't they? We just have to be doing the same thing.
Exactly.
So if Africa is our focus, are we then neglecting the Caribbean?
No.
But you never give up on the islands for a continent. So I believe that the Caribbean, Africans on the Caribbean need to go back home too. We need to go back home. Like, and they have been, it's true. They have been.
Was set up, what, how many years back?
Yeah. They have been.
But going back
So,
home is step one. Go on,
When
bro.
we say going back, so in that case, are you implying that we leave all of the infrastructures and the things that we built here? A lot of people have been here for 20 years and they built their little paradise here, or they're aiming towards doing that. So this whole going back narrative, like, what's gonna convince those people who've been in the UK for 20 years or more
It's
to
more,
leave all of that
yeah.
and then go back?
It's kind of the hell that we're in. So, like, even those people that have built all this wealth and stuff like that, let's talk about the UK specifically.
Yeah.
Name me 5 like
Billionaires from
millionaires or millionaires. Let's just go.
5 million.
Let's just do that. On 5.
5
Let's just
black
name 5.
millionaires.
Not from this
Sports not
country
included.
anyway.
Sports and music
Oh,
out
come
of
on,
it.
sports
That's
and-
everything.
why?
No,
Why?
let's take sports and music out because
Okay.
that's not even
You
generated
can't
by
even
us.
assume.
The world is not being given to us by us. The people who are
It's
in
not going
sports
to
and
us.
in certain things, you're playing for a club. That club has
Ah.
bare dough. The owners,
Facts.
like Alan Sugar, owned Tottenham at one point. Like, them man got big peas.
Yeah.
So a man who's on that level, saying the ends and the roads, will say, "Man, put you on." If I got
Yes,
100 million,
that's
I can
facts.
give you 10 million,
Yeah.
and I still got 90 million. I put you on. You understand? So you can't really look at me and try to tell me your success is your own 100% because a man put you on.
That's facts.
Even though it's a fancy term, he scouted you, and that was his interview process. You understand? But he still put you on to some degree.
Exactly.
Who,
So it's not our money.
where's our money
Where's
here?
our
That's
money?
been given by us.
That's a good
Exactly.
Even going back to the continent though, that we rely on like returnees, people that go back to the Caribbean to resettle. We're relying on Western currency to survive. If you was like, go back to Africa and live on the local wages, people would be like, I don't know, I mean, we're taking it, we're English pound and our US dollar. So it's like, we can't half say, yes, we're going to leave Barbados system behind and go over there.
Take the
Yeah.
money.
But we
This
want
is
to keep
the funny
getting the
thing,
money.
This is the funny thing. So, like, my cousin, for example, he got a job back in Uganda. I'm talking individual basis, sorry about that. But that's when I learned that, they can manipulate the funds to match what you would be getting.
My girl, the same
Over
in Nigeria, she getting English pounds in Nigeria.
Right. So the manipulation and the understanding of the economy or how that works is something in itself to change, because as Akon has been trying to push for so long, he's like, let's jump on the cryptocurrency thing. Let's make that the new way that we in Africa run our shit. I'm not saying who he is or whatever. There may be layers to it. He had to work in China to get whatever deals. I know.
I was just about
But
to
the
say.
point. You can get jewels from even Hitler. Like, trust me. Like,
That's very
I'm
true.
just saying.
That's very true.
So with Akon saying that, what I'm saying is that it's coming out of the bubble of what we exist in already.
And she's saying
Right.
co-signing
Thinking
Hitler
about
for
whole-
anyone who's going to try comment anything. You get me?
No, I don't
Saying
co-sign
something.
no one.
Critical thinking.
I can get quotes from Winston Churchill. That's what I'm
Yes,
trying to
yes,
say.
yeah.
Right?
And we know
So-
what we can say.
So yeah, that's the point. Is that how do we come out of just relying heavily on that system of economy and think of something completely
Different.
for ourselves?
Yeah, but you're taking it to a whole next front now. You see, because what we're talking now is you're taking away people's sense of safety, their subconscious safety net. Because man, in the Matrix, check out my new tune coming out on Spotify. But man, in the Matrix, why I use that analogy is because it's like what you think it is isn't really what it is. Your idea of existence and your idea of survival and living is warped. My mum was born in Jamaica. I see what it means to go to the water source get the water
Get the
and have to
water.
make a pipe
Yes.
from pieces of metal and connect
Yeah.
that so they can reach your yard.
Yeah.
That's what's been done here as well, but it's underground. Someone had to still do that, but you ain't had to do that. Now you're getting all the benefits from turning on and off tap, shower and all that. You don't know how to do that. So when you're talking about, oh, you want to build your own thing and that, do you mean you want to copy their thing, but you want to be in control, so you want to become the oppressor? Or do you want to remodel
Who's gonna
the thing at the
build
root
it?
so that so we don't make the same problems again? Because it's two different things.
So you have to reorient like your thinking and see that you have to simplify your life then. So there's that
Right.
people come from the UK, they might have a particular expectation, and we've been sort of cultivated in a way that we want everything quickly. You know, we have things like Amazon and this capitalist system that can fuel, you know, that speed that society's
Instant
going at.
gratification.
But now you move to somewhere where things are much slower. Can people adjust to that?
Well, this is the
But
thing.
it's
Actually,
not
this
much
is
slower.
something I want to state. Yeah, we in Sierra Leone, Ghana, and Nigeria, our minds were blown because there is the general population, a lot of the population in each of the countries, in particular Sierra Leone, living in what we classify as poverty, right?
Right.
But one of the points that the elder we were staying with was saying to us is that no one starves here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? No one starves here because
Priorities
there's mango
are different.
trees, there's
different.
fruits everywhere,
Yes.
there's veg everywhere.
Yeah.
So there's community
We need to go
mindset.
to
So your idea of poverty is a different
different.
idea. Because
Yes.
it could be you might be talking about from a materialist
Right.
standpoint.
Yeah.
There's poverty, but from a natural abundance and resource standpoint, you see,
Yes.
Tesco's wants to lock off everything right here.
But
We have a much harder time trying to survive by ourselves than
Yes.
them.
There's no more
These things
So
are
what are these
But then-
sponsoring adverts about then? Tell me somebody.
Well, that's it.
propaganda. You
That's
know?
propaganda, and like so it's propaganda to an extent. I don't want to mislead anyone to think that there is
There
no
isn't,
poverty in
yeah, of
Africa.
course.
There is problems, serious problems that
Yes.
we can solve.
Yeah.
But there's also extreme wealth.
Mm.
Like there's extreme, like the houses we went to. We ain't been to no houses like that here.
Not in the
I mean, there's a
UK.
place in Ghana called Cheseko Valley, you know? There's a place like Beverly Hills, you know, in Ghana.
Wow.
that you see,
Yeah.
Wow.
Open gated communities that, bro, you man over here talking about Africa, they're laughing. They're
Yeah.
laughing.
Yeah.
So it's true.
Yeah, the
And
lifestyle in
with your
Africa is a
semi-detached
different
house.
lifestyle. The driver standard, main standard, you know, and for half the
Mansion
cost.
standard.
Mansion standard.
Like
for
7-star
half the
mansions.
cost. Yeah, I mean, if you got the money,
Yeah.
if you have the money, if you're wealthy enough to be wealthy in Africa, you can live a very good lifestyle. But if you're not, and you're in poverty, then you're not gonna go hungry, but you ain't gonna be living life
I
either.
was just
So it's
about
tougher. There's no welfare state to fall back on.
No,
either.
no, but yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then at the same time,
Sorry.
you then need to ask yourself, are you not then taking that same mindset and bringing it back? Because for me personally, it's like even when I visited LA, for the first couple of weeks that I was there, I was very uncomfortable because I had never seen that many homeless people. I just never had. And it was uncomfortable for me to know I couldn't walk past somebody. That obviously there's homeless people here.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just maybe because there was so much, but I didn't feel comfortable walking past someone knowing that I had, do you know what I mean? I have to give you something. And to be on a bus and drive past mansions and then literally 2 streets down, you're just seeing lines of homeless people. For me, I wouldn't want to see that wherever I am. I wouldn't want to go to Africa and be like, yeah, cool, I'm living great, but still know that over there,
There's a township.
there's a
over there.
whole
And
bunch of
the
people
squatter
who
camp.
aren't.
Yeah.
And obviously, of course, this is the problem everywhere. We can't just solve it by ourselves, but it's like we have to also be careful that we're not like, oh, okay, but there's still cities in Africa.
Yeah.
Then don't worry, it still looks like
Here.
It's gonna
here.
make fair.
So therefore, you can go. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with there
Shouldn't
being
be
a
the
city, but
standard.
what I'm saying
Exactly.
is we've got to be just so careful.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
I
mean?
agree
How
with
we do
that.
it.
The balance with that, though, I believe, is that you have to have personal comfortability. So in this country, you're not going to restrict yourself to council flat living forever because the majority of the people are not living well. And you're not going to look at the homelessness in this country is growing and growing and growing, but you're not going to sacrifice your life in that way. You're not going to sacrifice progress in your life in that way, financial progress, because there's a growing level of homelessness. And the situation in Africa in terms of the poverty doesn't change us being here. We have a greater chance of changing it there. So I completely agree with the mindset, but I think the mindset is key. When we're going back, it's not going back simply just for our own enjoyment.
Yes.
It's also to actually do something constructive.
Yeah.
Whereas here, I'm questioning the ability for us to do something. I'm just like,
Which
I
is
don't know
why
what
I
you
was
lot
saying
think.
about the 5 billionaires, bill millionaires.
Yeah, like who's it? Like,
Power.
We've yet to name one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or a black-owned business that is of that standard.
Yeah.
Like,
That hasn't
here.
been torn down.
Or even in America, can we name a black-owned business of equal standing of international standing?
Off the top of my head, and that's
You
not
can in
good.
Africa. Dangote.
Dangote, yeah.
Oprah Winfrey.
There are some though. That's
Oprah
what I'm
Winfrey, she's
saying.
a billionaire, yeah. But does she own a business that is solely hers?
Her network, isn't her network her own?
That's not
Or
us.
is
No.
it shared?
Tyler Perry.
Her network
Oh,
is
Tyler
her
Perry,
own.
yes, Tyler Perry.
Okay,
But
Tyler
what she
Perry.
called it
Tyler
own
Perry
was
was
her.
yes,
old
that is
African
right,
American.
yes.
Didn't we say no entertainers though?
That's what
We
we're
said
saying.
no
No, but it's a
football, no
business.
But it's still
Oh,
a business.
yeah.
Because if Tyler Perry owns it,
Then it's
That's
different.
different.
Yeah, it's different from him just being an
Yeah,
actor.
yeah.
He's now become CEO.
yeah.
Okay.
If he's the owner,
So we've
Yeah.
I heard
got
he does
one,
own
two.
some studios.
And
do
for,
some
and for the
research.
purpose of employing black
Because
Mhm.
that's
Yes.
staff
And
and
he's
making
spoken
black
out
films.
about
So that's reinvesting into the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
if he does.
He does.
No, he is at the moment, isn't he? Oh, I mean, in terms of giving people jobs, he is. He's doing that. But I
Okay.
don't know
Put
what
out
he's
there
doing
as
behind
well.
closed doors.
Yeah.
Sorry, sis. I also want to put out there as well, just 'cause I know certain people in the comments, yeah, they're going to come and try to get at us for not saying that. We don't just come from Africa, you know. Black people, I'm going to put that there. We understand that, yeah, we know. Because there's a point, like if you look at geography, yeah, on the map, yeah, when you get to a certain heat near the equator, the intensity of the sun causes this as a byproduct so that man don't get skin cancer and certain things. It fights ultraviolet light and certain things. So there's an actual brown belt. Like once you get to a certain point on the graph, like you can Google it, it will show you where the indigenous skin color of these people will all be brown. So we're not saying all brown people just come from Africa, but we have a shared common history there that is very great and it's being suppressed. It's currently under attack. You understand? So it's like there's other things we can go and we can have that conversation once the battle is clear over there. But this front is being under attack right now. Africa, they're trying to downplay it, adverts, propaganda, and all these things. So we're trying to just rebalance and unify and return to that point. Once there, then we can return back further. But it's like milestones. We can't jump back from like here to saying like when we was the natives way back in ancient Maya and the Olmecs like my man's shirt and everything. When it's like you can't even acknowledge the Ashanti tribe.
You
You
can't.
can't acknowledge the Benyans.
No.
You can't acknowledge the Yoruba. You can't acknowledge the fact man was looking at star like Sirius and ancient Kemet and Tutankhamun even, allegedly. Do you understand? But if you can't even look back that far, we can't talk about so-called Atlantis and ancient occult spiritual things now for the real brothers then. Hermetic current. Do you understand? Hermes, Trismegistus. Look up the names and stuff. Human society, you talk about they find rocks, it's millions of years old. Millions. So you're telling me that the world's been around for millions of years and you believe we're in the year 2000. These things are part of the construct, matrix construct, you understand? How can you say that? That is a paradox there. You're telling me that in science, you're telling me about dinosaurs and these things million years ago. So why in our right mind am I using the year 2000? Man's a madman, isn't it? But that don't make no sense to me. But in my mind, I understand that. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people base their reality and their construct in the year of return. It's only been 2,000 years. But when you really put things in context over the span of what's going on, you have to be careful. You don't get lost in even what Sis was saying about the cities, the Western ideas and things. You have to go back, start at Africa. Then we can say, okay, the Caribbean has its history because the history that happened after slavery and all them things, the revolts and all that history comes after African history. And then there was a history that there's dynasties. There was battles back in the day. There was Genghis Khan and the Mongols had the time when they was ruling, the Ottoman Empire. There's many empires and times. So you have to understand and be able to literally put all of this into perspective when you want to talk about return. Because we was the Moors, my man said. Hannibal from Carthage, general. They tried to tarnish his name. When people talk about Hannibal, they think it's Hannibal Lecter. Look up Hannibal Barca. There's the place called Barcelona. Barca colonized that place. Hannibal Barca, his dad died in the battle. I read the book, my dad didn't read it. Military generals. These are people that you don't know about them. You know about the so-called brother Mark Anthony and Napoleon and you learn about them. You don't learn Hannibal. he was warring with the Romans and everything there. He's the only man ever to conquer the Alps through Spain. He rode elephant to war and these things. So return to where? We conquered places. Other people conquer places. So when people are saying, oh, natives, Indians, people move, conquer, migrate. We're focusing on African history for now, innit? When we can all unify around that, then we can start to diverse between that and start saying, all right, cool, now African history is there. How did African history then get influenced by South American history? How did that influence? How was they trading? How was the influence with the black people in Russia and up there in the Caucasus Mountains before things and everything there? Before Ice Age, there's many different levels. So we have to kind of put it in perspective and take your time. It's not everything.
The reason why that's so critical, is because the power is in Africa. That's
The
why.
resources.
The power is in Africa.
Like you said, nobody is going to be bigger than your nation, right? So the state of your nation is more likely where you're going to be in your individual experience in this earth right now. So we base it on how I'm an assistant, I'm a secretary, assistant, CEO, something. You know, I'm employed, I live a good life, I've got a house, I've got a car, I'm good. What use is it to me to go and look for my roots in Africa? I'm all right. However, you have a cap, you have a limit as an African on this earth as it stands right now as to what you can do. The potential in terms of in Africa and with Africa, you don't necessarily have to be there, but we have to build her up. So we go through that glass ceiling that they put on us. The potential is to you can do anything. That's what they said. Come and do anything you want. Who's ever asked you that as a black person? Anything I want? You know, we've always been given the blueprint and the way forward as to what we can do. Go to university, get your degree, get a job, get a house, get a car, and you're fine. No, there's more to it than that. Like the brother saying, the constructs that we've been given. Through building Africa, we can break and we can make something new. And that shouldn't scare us anymore because it's not about what you have and what you don't have. That should excite you because you could have everything and you can have anything through Africa. She is the only way. And repatriation is a remembering. It's a putting back together of Africa. It's a recognition that something went wrong. Something happened to Mama Africa and her children. We need to heal. There's no debating about it. You know, no one can say anything. You need to heal. If you are African, if you are a descendant of someone who was colonized, if you are a descendant of someone who was enslaved, then you need to fix it. It falls onto you. You know, we have we inherit the burdens and the sins and the hurt and the pain of our ancestors. That's just the way things are. It's sorry.
So how can we consolidate that then? How can we consolidate the children of the colonized Africans and the children of the enslaved Africans? How can we strengthen those ties? And whose responsibility is it, you know, in where we are? Because, for example, should we be encouraging more Africans on the continent to visit the Caribbean or vice versa? Because obviously we're having this conversation from the UK.
Yes.
But
they need to visit us here too.
How are we going to consolidate that story?
It's a bit
you are going to get people be like, well, what about the Caribbean?
Yeah.
What about South America? What about this and that and the other? So how are we going to consolidate all these pieces together?
I don't think it's about letting go. We feel like I have something here and you're telling me I need to release whatever it is that I have and just go to Africa. It's not about that. You can stay home, stay where you are. It's okay. But it's the African-centered thinking mentality and building, you know, African concepts and sciences. Family is an African concept and African science. We need to build our families here. Heal your family here.
So you're trying to say fix here first before moving?
Fix yourself first wherever you are, whether you're in Africa or the Caribbean. And you don't have to let go of nothing because in all four corners of the globe, we are there. You know, there's documentaries. There's an island between Africa and Australia. It's tiny.
Madagascar.
I know. It's further. It's in between.
That's
And it's an island, and there's African people there.
What, Papua New Guinea or Bougainville?
Of course, Madagascar, she's talking.
Madagascar's on the coast of Africa.
It's not Madagascar.
But
It's in between. It's in between. Madagascar's closer to the continent, isn't it?
It's in between Madagascar and
We're gonna get it. But there's African people. We're everywhere. We're in Asia. we're in Thailand, we're in all of these places, and that's okay, and that makes sense when you are the original person of the earth. So you don't have to let go of nowhere. You just need to these tribes who don't have no technology, who don't have know who they are. The technology as we see it, they know who they are. Nobody's come and told
And they're
them
happy.
come and repatriate. They know through oral tradition, their culture and how what they do. They can come to Africa and they wouldn't have a problem because they practice our practices. So you don't have to let go of nothing. It's not about that. It's about the African-centered mentality, and it's about understanding that you're not gonna do nothing. We're not gonna go nowhere without Africa. Where are you gonna go?
I'm so glad you made that point because there is an island called Bougainville,
Okay.
and the people there, they've been there for 3,000 years, but they've kept their history intact to the extent whereby they can still call themselves African. 3,000 years.
Yeah.
And then also another example is the Yoruba in Brazil.
Oh.
They have kept on to their, where is it? Bahia, Salvador. That the group there that have held on to their Yoruba. So basically, they've been enslaved, they've gone through that process, but they didn't get Christianized. They held on to their Yoruba traditions and their culture. And there's other examples. I can't remember the name now. There was obviously the Maroons in Jamaica, right? But there's another group in Jamaica right now, small and ignored, essentially. But they're another example that held on to their African roots.
Yeah.
You know about Haiti,
Yes.
held on to their African roots.
Yes, they did.
But Haiti is disrespected and dissed.
Yeah.
With the whole,
Because they're angry,
the
they're vexed at
voodoo
Haiti.
thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
They're vexed at Haiti,
They're
and
vexed.
we follow along with it, But people's problem, other people's issue outside of Haiti is not our issue. They say the French, are not happy with Haiti because they defeated you, which is fair enough. If you beat me, I'm going to be upset.
10,
But who
20
am I,
times over.
as an African person, to come and say Haitians are doing blah blah blah? Your issue, my issue is not the Frenchman's issue. That's his own. He's lost. Okay, you were enslaving the people. So what they have to do, So yeah, we can't hold the same values as they do.
And so to your question, like we've been doing it. We've actually been doing it. Us en masse have not, but there's like groups of us who have been holding on to their African identity. So me, my dad's line is comes from Creole. The Creoles were the ones that came back
from America
and from Jamaica and from also here.
Yeah.
So the Creoles is a manufactured ethnicity. It's not really real. It's not like Yoruba that is.
It's like a reclaiming of something.
They went back to Africa.
They went back and established themselves. Because we're talking about redefining, isn't it?
So it's like say all of us went back,
really.
kind of. It's like say all of us went back, and then Jamaicans and the Caribbean went back and America went back. Right now, we'd be a group.
Yeah.
And then if we were called something,
you call yourself something.
That would be the Creoles.
And that happened after the abolition of slavery, isn't it? After emancipation, a lot of they gave the option. In America, for example, they gave the enslaved free slaves in America the option to go back and to go. It was Liberia, wasn't it?
Wow.
To go back to
Liberia.
They put them. They created Liberia, and it's like, all right, you can get on a ship and go back to Africa if you want. And they went, and there was Liberia. And that's because it's a similar story for the Creoles in Sierra Leone as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then you
But
just
that's where the
to Liberia.
Eurocentric mindset comes from. Because
In Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
Sierra Leone and in
Liberia.
Liberia is very, very Western.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how it happens.
Well, that's the thing. It's what are you going to go and do in Africa? What's your purpose? What do you? And then the thing is, people are looking for what am I going to gain by going to Africa? And that is not an African-centered way of thinking. It's an individualistic European way of thinking, and that is fine. But keep it in Europe then, if you want to. Don't bring it. It's enough. You know what I mean? People go into Africa as it is to exploit it, who aren't even African. We've got that enough. Who is going back to give to Africa? Who's going back for that? And people are. But I think if you're thinking about repatriation, if you're serious about the thing, if you feel in your heart is calling you, Africa's calling you, ask yourself, why am I going? What purpose is it? I was speaking to a brother, and he was saying to me that he's of Caribbean descent, but he is religious. So he had said to me that you know, for him, he's going to Africa and he's doing a lot of great stuff in Africa, but he felt like it was a pit stop to his holy land, which was outside of Africa.
Okay.
Where's that?
I get the picture.
I don't want to say it.
We get the
But
picture.
yeah, so he sees Africa as an opportunity, and he might even do fantastic, amazing things. But that's not his end game. He has his beliefs that he puts forward and he lives by, and so he's coming into Africa in a way to go to where he's really going. And is that what people what do people see in Africa? How do you look at her? What do you know what I mean? What are your intentions? What you know, we need to question these things when we talk about repatriation, because we can all go, but like we say, what are we bringing to the motherland, and what are we bringing to our people? Are we educating them on the Western world? Are we educating them on our history and say, well, you know, this Bible you have, this is how you got it, in case you were wondering, you know, are we doing these things?
It's really one of the main things, for speaking on ourselves, one of the main things we wanted to bring back was the re-education. So making people sure that people on the continent see the real picture of how we live here.
Yes.
So that kind of facade is kind of shattered, and that false illusion of, oh, we're all living in this great way, we all have money.
Yeah.
And
Think that.
it's like, no,
They do,
actually
yeah.
what you need to see is the amount of homeless that live here, how they actually treat their own people, let alone how they treat us, how we are, you know, on all the statistics, the lowest of the low, blah, blah, blah. Them getting that education is very key, because we don't own, in Africa, we don't have control over our own media, so we still have a narrative. They had a different narrative, my brothers who live there, had a different narrative of the 2011 riots to what was the true narrative going on here.
We only got media, haven't we?
Yes.
We are here.
So they were just hearing how these crazy black kids
Yeah. And it's
just acting up, and that was it. That was the image that they
Yeah.
got. And it's deep, because you just think how the disconnect is so. It's so much disconnect that they get away with telling these versions of story, and no one questions it.
I think
None of
we
them are
contribute
even there,
to
you know
it.
what I'm saying?
We contribute.
I
to it.
think, you know, especially in the UK and Europe, we have a lot of Africans who've come and moved here and still have relationships with their family and people back home, and they don't, you know, make it a point to say
It's a shame.
it.
But
You
they
know,
perpetuate it because they feel that they have a
Sometimes
need
it's
they have a need to support that.
They want
Yes,
to
egos
support
like
It's a
you know,
shame.
they're able to get out, so now they're sending money. Even Jamaicans do it. Like they do the shower life, and
But meanwhile, you're
December's the
cleaning
month.
toilets.
right,
Yes.
and you can't pay your rent.
Comes
You're putting your
from-
fridge back,
Yeah.
back
and that's
home.
okay, and that's
And when you
fine
go
to
back
keep
home,
doing
you bring in
that.
bare gifts,
Exactly.
and you're
Yeah,
paying
it's
bills
okay.
like that there,
That social
and
media,
you're
like,
rich.
Yeah.
Look at
Yeah.
social media and that. It's not
Yeah.
even just back home. Look at, I got brethren, I know our area, yeah, they don't really live in the maddest life. You see, once I look at social media, listen, I'm thinking this brother is good, he's showing all the high life. Me and my own sit like, all day, you don't snap that.
Yeah.
You snap that. So imagine you're then looking at our lives now from an
Yeah.
outside perspective in Africa. This is what Sis was saying, it's reverse propaganda. We're looking back there at Oxfam, they're all brought down, which we're not saying that there's not some, maybe in some way where that's happening. But over here, it's the same thing. They're making it, everyone over here is all
No,
living
it's
good.
not.
We're
No,
rich.
it's
Man,
not.
back a yard, something on a phone. Man,
It's
say this here,
tough
can't
out
something. Man, look
here.
at something better.
Yeah.
I'm saying,
Oh,
man,
my
listen to that
God.
same something I'm sending you. I need someone to send
I'm
me
sorry.
that
Yes,
something.
and
We're
me as
all
well.
hustling.
Yeah, we need to be careful
Yeah,
because
that's
we
the connect.
contribute, and I think
That's
The
the
ego.
It's the ego.
I think a big part of it is the relationship, repatriation in terms of repatriate with each other. Be honest with each other. Be real with each other. You're not better. You're not better than me because you're from this particular country. For me, I would say, as a South African, as I say this quite often, there was a time here. It comes up and it goes down, where the news comes up here about xenophobia in South Africa, and that
For
first
those
of
who
all.
don't know what that is, just clarify. What's
Yes.
xenophobia?
So xenophobia, as far as I understand, please correct me if I'm wrong, is when we are from the same continent, yeah, and when you come into my country, I don't like you, and I tell you you're taking away my job opportunities. There's a whole story about how they felt like other African men were taking away.
Nigerian.
Yeah,
Specifically.
Nigerian specific. I don't want to
Sounds like
say
something-
it.
It's
Yeah.
racism against
But-
your own countryman,
Sounds like
basically.
Karen to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Like Karen.
this is going on. This has been going on.
Yeah.
When I was growing up in South Africa, I saw it when I was in school and etc.
Oh,
Yeah, most
you've been
definitely.
for a long time.
Oh, for a
So
long
like, South
time.
Africans would be angry at the Somali man who's migrated into the country
And he's got his
and
own
set up a
business.
business,
Yeah.
and it starts a
And
whole
this is not
But
just
not
culture.
say
South-
anything to any
Yeah.
European.
Yeah.
And he grows up. He grows this kind of resentment. It breeds this kind of resentment between the
Resentment.
different cultures and countries
Exactly.
within that particular space.
Yeah.
A bit like Brexit, I suppose. Like
Yeah.
white people angry at other
They
white
don't like
people.
Polish people
Get out of our
and stuff.
country,
Yes,
essentially.
yes.
But it's like, so it's, that's the difference between racism and xenophobia. Racism
Yeah.
is about, race and ethnicity and
Ethnicity, yeah.
biology, and then xenophobia is more about
Where you're from.
foreigner. You're
Yeah,
you're
from.
racist against the foreigner.
So we have this
Yeah.
issue in South Africa. Now, first
Yeah.
of all, it would put anyone. It's embarrassing to me because in the UK, again, in Europe, we have this particular. I think it's very special here because we even sat here. We're from so many different, from the continent, and then we introduce each other. I'm from Uganda. I'm from Jamaica. I'm from Trinidad. Oh, I'm South African. And I've had occasions, unfortunately, where people have made comments and said, well, I don't know what you're doing here because your people are doing certain things to my people back home, and I don't want to know you, So we have these issues like this. I think it's quite particular to South Africa because I don't hear about it anywhere else. And like we were saying, the people of the land fail still to deal with the European influence in your own country, yet you dare to open your mouth to people from countries that helped you during apartheid. Nigeria was a massive influence, whether we know it because we failed to learn our history, okay, that comes up again, but it makes it difficult to have conversations about repatriation. I think focus, again, if you can't go back home, repatriate with the people around you, respect other people around you. Let's start there because then we're part of the movement anyway, whether you're flying to Ghana or not. You're part of this energy of we need to heal and we need to do something and we need to be active, and each individual needs to now take responsibility for being African and being black. It's not by coincidence.
Who's that?
That's a key
The
word,
brother
energy.
that is from South Africa that
Julius
speaks.
Malema.
Julius Malema.
Yes.
Interestingly, he did this powerful speech,
Yeah.
and in there he was like, "All my brothers and sisters from around the continent." And
Yeah.
he named every single one.
Yeah.
Just that same week, that xenophobia
It
thing
rose
came out.
up again.
I found it very curious because that speech was powerful, and he was saying we are all one. And then the next minute, I'm getting calls, from my
I
sister or whoever. Oh my God, have you
Yeah.
seen what's going on? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, did you see that speech? What speech?
Yeah, you forget about it.
So
But I feel like it's
it's a
misplaced.
propaganda thing. So
Yeah.
it's actually a real thing happening, but it's like
The unification
gives
cannot
the-
happen because once it happens and it's solid,
Yeah.
it's a
a
wrap
wrap
for
for
the
you.
system
It's
as
a
we
wrap
know
for
it.
tear it down. As soon as
It's
they
a
see it
wrap for
happening,
you. It's
they
a wrap
jump
for
in
you.
and they rip that apart.
Yeah.
That's only
The
right
strategy.
they
That's
do
been
so.
the strategy. since
Only
day
right
one.
Yeah,
they do so.
and I respect that. I respect
You
that.
can't expect your opponent to
Africa will be
do that.
Europe,
Basically.
Yeah.
in a healthy.
But tell me something, like,
ideally.
how would stronger relations between the Caribbean, South America, the continent benefit black people in the West, in the UK, or in North America and in the UK, or in other European countries?
So, are you talking about reclamation of resources?
As in just stronger, relations and connections between the continent and the islands, and
Business.
it's
There's
business,
many fronts,
cultural,
many fronts.
All of
traveling,
it.
everything. Just
You know,
better
that
relations, stronger bonds.
bonds did that thing, didn't they? The
And
separate
Connect.
school.
Yeah, yeah.
They did the school which is in Jamaica and in
Ghana.
Ghana.
Oh, wow.
And there's a unity there. So we
Oh,
have
wow.
exchange programs. You have
Right.
children learning
That's
about.
amazing.
So that's a
How
big
they
triangle
connect.
there. You've
This
got
is what I'm trying to
Shaka
get
Bars
at.
here, Connects Jamaica,
Right.
Fuse Ghana. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Because
the-
not everyone's going to leave and go. So for people that are here, that will remain wherever they are in the West, what is, or kind of, even see the benefits that we're talking about and going and thinking, oh, that's not a good idea for X, Y, and Z reason. What reasons do you think are valuable for that to happen, and how could it benefit those people that might stay? or might not go, or not even have the resources to go. Not everyone does have the resources to go.
It's 100% just having a bigger global picture.
Awareness.
Yeah, because a lot of us are stuck in where we're from, and we think that this is it, but that's a limiting thing.
Yes.
When you know you're African, oh my
Yes.
God,
Wow.
and when you can attach to that motherland and the
Yes.
abundance of it, wow.
Wow.
Just equally, the Africans on the continent can have that benefit too of seeing the globe and seeing where else they come from.
Yeah.
So when you form these unisons, businesses kind of occur, or new ways of thinking about business.
Exactly.
So sustainability, those are the kind of comments, kind of conversations we need to have, not just business, but okay, corporations. How are we working together? How do we reshape the education system? How do we make it Afrocentric?
Even with what you're saying as well, look at China. You see what we were talking about earlier, how 50% of the income that helped to rebuild China came from the people in the diaspora and things there.
Yeah.
What we have to look at is, it's 2020 now. This ain't 1960.
Yeah.
Not in a disrespectful thing, but in the sense of the world's logistics has changed. The infrastructure that's in place has changed.
Yeah.
If you've got networks and connections back home, you can open a groceries and have them shipping food to you.
Absolutely.
I've got my family's from Jamaica. I've got family in Jamaica who used to ship man products from there. Yeah, all FDA approved and everything. Trust me, we went through the process. But you see, there's things that was done, and so you can open businesses that are directly. So now man can't shut down those sources. Not in the same way. You can get prices that are ridiculous when you're dealing with the farmers back home. That's what's happening. My brethren, my Turkish brethren do. The man they try to source from their people in different countries. There could be an African brother in Spain, and he's got a business where there's certain Spanish strawberries or something, and you can say, listen, let me connect with my African brother in Spain now and get them Spanish strawberries same way. But you know that the money is going to this brother. That he can have a plug now for his garments in Africa. So now it could be, instead of it just bouncing around the community, we can have our dollar bounce around the world. Black dollars bouncing, bam, 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 bam.
Sure, then.
That's such a brilliant point, because like Africa's got the resources. The technology that is being used right now to film the cameras comes from majority of the minerals comes from Africa. Our mobile phones come from Africa. China is like, we're number one in the world now. Where are they? Africa. So to your point, like what to your point, what you're saying, we get connection, or even if the Africans in the Caribbean connected to Africans in the continent and the South American, exactly that. We can be in a position where we can get back our resources. We have to get back our resources. That is one of the mindsets that it's got to be. When, like, globally, whether we shift or not, we have to be like, we can get that. And when we are in that position to be business trading partners with our people on the continent, then they don't have to, and it's a re-education on that side as well. Like, they don't have to look at people that don't look like them as first point of call, because they believe that those people are superior and they
Or the only ones that have the plug.
Or the only ones that have the plug. If we are there as a strong option, the first option actually, like, then we can start to take back, and then we can start to build our own societies. Is what Stella was saying in terms of we just need a complete shift in mindset and be like, what is the world that I want to see? And that is a starting point. Forget about this world as it is now. This world is. We have to think about what world we want to create.
Mash up, basically. Finish.
Kevlar, what are your views, like, in terms of like whether or not we should focus on staying here, going back to the continent, or wherever we're from, or in general, like in terms of like, is our focus in the right place even in this conversation?
I think it varies from individual to individual. I feel like, and I said this in the live call, I feel like there's a reason why I incarnated here in the West. Perhaps I have a certain thing that I have to learn here. In the past life, I might have been a Sufi or something else in Africa. You know, and right now I'm experiencing the British experience. And once I pass away, maybe I'll take that up, you know what I'm saying, to source. Because we're all in different areas to learn about everything. You know, it's the creator that fractions himself up into many myriad pieces so that he can learn about himself in every aspect. So we can't neglect where we are now. I still think we're building something beautiful here. And another question I have as well is that with so many different countries with a stake in Africa, you know, China, India, all these other countries and nations, can we promise that when our people go over there, we still won't be dominated by this other global force? So maybe it's important that we play the system, and operate here, build things here, so that we can have a strong connection when we do decide to go back. It's a big project.
What you said even about exactly that. When we go back, there's already people who've got their hand in it. The bottom line is, are you really willing to do the work?
Yes.
Are you willing to sacrifice your so-called first world privilege and pleasures to do what must be done
Exactly.
to achieve true freedom?
Yeah.
If you're not willing to do such, just leave it to the big boys.
And do you have to? That's the thing.
You don't.
You have
Everyone
to.
doesn't have to, but just please stop bandwagoning, like Kevlar said last time. Stop throwing on the things because now you see two conscious brothers coming out and they might be getting somewhere you want to wear fake. I'm like, just do you, brother. Let us do us in peace and rebuild our team. We're not saying everyone has to come. If you don't want to come, cool, just mind your business. But don't be trying to just downplay negative pessimism and not add nothing to the mix.
That's it. And to your point, Kevlar, if we are building something, I do question, you have to educate me on this, but if we are building something powerful here, the point is it has to be connected to
Almost definitely.
It's only as strong as the packative.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Look at what happened in China. A big point, sorry, before we close. When the Chinese people during COVID started evicting, for those who don't know, the black people, they said that black man can't come in their shops. They said all these things was happening. The black people on the ground there did not have the power nor the infrastructure to react. But the people back home in the motherland said, listen, we're going to get a jet, certain celebrities and that. We're going to send the things over there. What we're going to do is we're going to back you with our backative. Anything you're doing to our people there, we're going to do the same to you. When they start doing that, you see how the way they treat us is being different. When man start kicking out the China man, no disrespect. When man start kicking out man saying, well, you ain't getting served over head in. You man can't get tenancy. Now you see there's a knock-on effect. What happens to us on the ground here directly affects how you will be treated in our home. Just like it works both ways. Just like Nick Cannon said one thing, and look what happened. There's a knock-on effect. Where's our knock-on effect? When someone says something about us, when someone says something about our people, then where's the knock-on effect? Where's that community? We're trying to build that force. Africa has to be that force. We didn't start the struggle. Our ancestors said it. Stop trying to take their work and disregard it. We're going to talk about Garvey and Africa for the Africans. We're going to talk about Nkrumah, Africa for the Africans. We're going to talk about Frederick Douglass. We're going to talk about anyone. Africa for the Africans. So home and abroad. You can have an embassy. American embassy is American soil in the next country. So
To add quickly, just in terms of connecting with Africa, with Britain and America and wherever. Like a while ago, probably 10 years ago, when I was in New York visiting my mum's friends, he took me and my friends around Brooklyn, and he was like, in England, you don't have like the Asians, Indians specifically, that have the corner shops and stuff. And it's like in Brooklyn, it's the Chinese people that have the corner shops. And what they do is they do like a lottery kind of system, whereby they randomly pick someone or family to come over every 2 or 3 years. They will come, they will work in the shop, they will have the chance to save that money, to make that money,
Send the kids to school,
and
get education.
then move on to their own thing, and then it's someone else's turn.
work
And I
in
feel
their
like that's something, when we're talking about mindset, these are the kind of things that we have to be thinking about. So it's like, regardless of where you are, you can do things to help. When you get a bit of power, don't keep it for yourself. Okay, cool.
But
How
why
can
are
I
we
now-
not doing that?
how
Because
can I distribute
we've been psychologically molded throughout history to not think in that collective
We've
way.
been interrupted.
Yeah, fair
We've
enough.
been
We've
interrupted.
been interrupted several times.
Or we get
So we don't-
comfortable with this
Yeah.
lifestyle, and so we want to
But why
buy
is it only
this.
us getting comfortable? Why is nobody else getting comfortable? Why are
we
we
get
able to?
interrupted.
Yeah.
Tulsa, Oklahoma is a good example, but there's many
100%.
like Tulsa, Oklahoma. We always get attacked. As soon as we start thinking in those ways structurally, so that's why we have to even now
This is
go
it.
even more clever and go even deeper underground and find different ways.
Because there's even the whole Reconstruction
Always
period in
gets-
America as well, where and so why is it not happening? Why can't we do it? It's not because we don't have the ability or the tools to do it. It's deeper than that.
I also think it's different there as well, like in terms of thinking about Black America versus British, us over here.
we bought houses together. We did all of that. That history is not taught to us.
Even my
our
grandparents, that's how they got their house.
They were like they did the same patterns. Even though we have to think about our own story, we have to actually see that the wider scope is that it's still shared. It's so similar. Every pattern that they've done in America or here or wherever they've done it. here too.
Yes.
So we did have our version of doing that buying together, a group of
Still
economics
a partner.
But when we was doing
and they actually
it,
made a law against the partner to interrupt it.
I thought it did.
Yeah.
I thought it
It's
did.
not going to affect the banks. No one's that into
Yeah,
money.
the FCA, that FCA.
I didn't know they was able to get that through.
Yeah,
You'd be
so
surprised.
circles that you develop the circles and
Interrupted people buying homes and stuff like that, and then
So
they
where
started
do you get
saying,
the
"Oh, why
money?"
don't you get a council house?" and manipulated us in those different ways. So we've
Yeah,
always
that's
been interrupted. We have to be wiser to it and learn from the history that they're
Yeah.
trying to take us away from. That's why they don't teach us history,
yeah.
because we learn and we do things differently.
Stockholm syndrome.
All right,
Truly.
family.
Yes, family.
Again, another very enriching conversation. I'm sorry, audience, we had to cut it off right now. And so join us for the next episode if you want to get more of this lovely knowledge. The Cipher, a circle complete unto itself. A circuit connected by the meeting of minds, specially designed for the flow of ideas. Whether you agree or disagree with anything we have said, please comment and let us know. You, the audience, step into the cipher. Self-expression is the current that keeps all in constant flow. Join the cipher. See you next time.
Blacktricity, gotkushTV's exclusive free Kwanzaa showcase is now available for you to watch absolutely free. In conjunction with Ghana, the On the Return series, we have brought the African diaspora experience directly to you. To watch this monumental event absolutely free, simply register for membership at gotkushTV.com and you will receive access to Blacktricity as well as more exclusive content, including Reggie Rockstone, Yusufu Jallo, VVN, Malachi Selassie, Daddy Makes Dough, Pods, King Wiz, Tubada, Ras Ashiba, Mama Sia, Brother Leader Bandaka, Israel, Sister Moot, Carla Marie, Yemaya Sankofa, Goldflow, and a special Voyage to Motherland panel discussion. All this and more, hosted by Nat Nye and Stella B. Register now at gotkushTV.com.